Hey everybody, today I'm going to do a comparison video between three of the most powerful half-inch cordless impacts on the market today. That includes the Ingersoll Rand W7150, the brand new Dewalt DCF899, as well as the Milwaukee 2763. Now these are all extremely powerful. I've done full reviews on the W7150 as well as the 2763, as well as a comparison video between those two. But now what we're going to do is actually include all three of these impacts since the Dewalt did just come out, and we're also going to be doing torque testing to see who is actually the most powerful. Now in the Skidmore Wilhelm, I do have a reverse threaded nut and bolt installed, and what we'll be testing is reverse working torque. So this will give you a good idea as to how much torque they're actually going to put out in a real life situation. We're not going to worry about breakaway or max torque, and we're also not going to be worried about forward torque in this video, because many times you would never use an impact this powerful to tighten something down. What you would want to do is maybe snug it up and then use a torque wrench to tighten it down. But what is really important is going to be that reverse torque rating. So next let's go over the different features that they have built into each one of these, and then we're going to see how they actually perform. When we take a look at the impacts side by side, you can see the Ingersoll Rand is going to be the tallest, followed by the Dewalt, and the Milwaukee is going to be the shortest. This is specifically because of the angle of the head. If you notice with the Milwaukee, when the anvil's facing straight forward, the battery's basically directly underneath of it. With the Dewalt, there's a little bit of an offset, and when its anvil's facing straight forward, the battery is slightly offset from it and not directly underneath. Now this is really eliminated with the Ingersoll Rand because of the angle of the head on it. When you have its anvil facing forward, the battery is completely offset from it, and you don't really run the risk of it running into whatever you're working on underneath. Now I also want to point out, although the Ingersoll Rand is the tallest, it's also the lightest out of the three, coming in at 7 pounds 2 ounces. The Dewalt is coming in at 7 pounds 3 ounces, and then the Milwaukee is actually the heaviest, coming in at 7 pounds 8 ounces. Each of the impacts also has a status gauge on the battery to show you how much charge is remaining. Now the Ingersoll Rand has a maximum of 4 bars. The Milwaukee is going to have a maximum of 4 bars. And then the Dewalt is actually going to have a maximum of 3 bars. Now the difference between them is going to be the Milwaukee and Ingersoll Rand both have a delay on the status gauge, so you can see exactly how much charge you have. The Dewalt, you actually have to hold in on the button so it'll light up. As soon as you release it, the battery gauge is going to go back off. If you do work in low light situations, then the Dewalt and the Milwaukee are going to have an LED light built in that really doubles as a flashlight. The Ingersoll Rand does not have an LED light. When you pull on the trigger, nothing's going to light up. With the Milwaukee, the LED light's going to be right underneath the anvil, and it does have a time delay. Now the Dewalt actually has the LED at the base. It's going to project up, so even if something is really blocking the area up here, this is still going to shine light in from underneath. The Dewalt's going to have 3 different speed or power modes. It's not a push button design, it's actually a little switch. It's going to slide left to right. And this is going to be speed mode 1, which is going to be a low power, speed mode 2, which is going to be medium, and then speed or power mode 3 is going to be max power. The Milwaukee has 2 different speed or power modes that you control by pressing this button here at the base of the grip. Now right now it's in speed mode 1, which is going to be a very low speed, low power mode at up to 100 foot-pounds, which would be ideal for running down lug nuts so you don't damage them. Then you could go behind it with a calibrated torque wrench to make sure they're torqued down correctly. If you press that again, it's going to switch over to speed mode 2, which is going to be max power. Now finally, the Ingersoll Rand does not have any speed or power modes. It's always on full power. And the way that you can really adjust how much power you're putting through to the fastener is by how hard you press it on the trigger. That means that it is a variable speed trigger, and it is extremely easy to control. Each of the impacts also has something called a friction ring or hog ring anvil. There's no little pin detent you need to press in, and all you'll need to do is take your impact socket, line it up with the anvil, and press it in place. At this point it's locked in, you get right to work, and then once you're done you can grab onto the socket and pull it right back off. One thing you do want to keep in mind if you invest in any one of these battery lineups is going to be cross compatibility. Now they're going to come with the high capacity packs, and we'll take a look at the Dewalt. It comes with the 5 amp hour pack, But the good news is if you have some compact battery packs like this 2 amp hour one, they're going to power it exactly the same way. That's also going to be true with the Milwaukee. It comes with a high capacity pack, but if you use a compact 1.5 amp hour pack, it's also going to power it. Now the problem is going to come with the Ingersoll Rand. It's only going to be compatible with the 5 amp hour or 3 amp hour packs. The smaller packs literally do not fit. They have safety tabs built in, and this will not work with their compact packs in the IQV20 lineup. One thing that some people really do not like about the Milwaukee or the Dewalt is the fact that the electric brake is not instantaneous. So what I mean by that, when you release the trigger, the anvil is going to continue to spin for about half a second, and that can cause a fastener to either over tighten or go flying off if you're removing something. So what I'll do is first show you the Dewalt, and you'll see when I release the trigger that the anvil is going to continue to spin. So although it does stop fairly quickly, it's not instantaneous, and the Milwaukee is going to be exactly the same way. And if you notice it takes a little bit to slow down, that's not a problem with the Ingersoll Rand. As soon as you release the trigger, the anvil immediately stops. Now for a torque test with all 3 impacts, I'll be using a Skidmore Wilhelm Model R with a 1 1/4 inch bolt and a 2-inch nut. With this combination, I can accurately measure bolt tension in pounds up to 110,000. You'll take whatever the reading is, divide it by 70, and that's going to give you a torque rating. So what we'll do are 3 different runs on each impact, alternating impacts between each run. In addition to this, I'm going to be using a brand new socket. This is a Sunex Model 264, and it's going to allow me to get very accurate results. So it does not have any use on this, and I do want to thank Sunex for sending it over. Now in addition to this, I'll also be changing the lubricant on the back of the nut on the washer face as well as the threads with a fresh coating of R-0050 test bolt lube from Skidmore Wilhelm. It's specifically designed to work along with this unit, and it will allow us to get very accurate results. Now finally, I'll also be changing battery packs. I have high capacity packs for each one, and during each run, at the end of it, I'll swap it out with a brand new pack, so every single run is going to have a full battery charge. One last thing, we'll be having a 15-second run time with each impact. So each run you see is going to be with 15 seconds of impacting on the Skidmore Wilhelm. Okay, we just got done with all the torque testing, and each impact had very consistent results. Starting out with the Ingersoll Rand, it scored between 59,000 and 62,000 pounds of bolt tension, with an average of 60,833. Divide that by a factor of 70 because of the nut and bolt combination we're using, and it comes up with a working torque rating of 869 foot-pounds. When we look at the Milwaukee, it scored between 69,500 and 72,500 pounds of bolt tension, with an average of 70,833. Divide that by a factor of 70, it comes up with a working torque rating on it of 1,012 foot-pounds. And then finally our winner is going to be the Dewalt. It scored between 70,000 and 73,000 pounds of bolt tension with an average of 71,000. Divide that by a factor of 70 and it comes up with a working torque rating on this of 1,014 foot-pounds. So now you've seen a side-by-side comparison between three of the most powerful half-inch cordless impacts on the market today. Now what was most surprising to me was the torque test, specifically because I thought that the Milwaukee and the Ingersoll Rand were going to come in almost identical as far as power levels go. It turns out that was not the case, and when we could see the results firsthand, the Milwaukee actually beats the Ingersoll Rand by over 100 foot-pounds. Now also as surprising was the Dewalt. On paper, it's rated at having 100 foot-pounds of additional torque above the Milwaukee, and it turns out that's just not the case. Side by side through 3 runs, when we took an average, it only beat the Milwaukee by 2 foot-pounds. And when you're looking at an overall rating of over 1,000 foot-pounds, that's almost nothing. Really, if I ran that same test 50 or 100 times, most likely what you would see happen is the fact that Milwaukee would win roughly about half the time, and the Dewalt would win about half the time, because the power levels are that close. Now the reason these are producing a lot more power than the Ingersoll Rand is the fact that both of them have brushless motors. The Ingersoll Rand has the older style, which is a brush motor. All of them did have 5 amp hour lithium battery packs, so that wasn't the problem. And it's just an older design is causing less power to be produced. Now I do want to point out, as far as the Ingersoll Rand goes, many mechanics really prefer this style because of the angle of the head and the ergonomics of it. When you're going in at a fastener, you can notice the anvil right here does not go right above the battery pack because it is at an angle, where either one of the other two would. So you can see they don't have an angled head. The battery pack would be directly underneath of the anvil, and it could cause you clearance issues. As far as a warranty goes, Milwaukee would win. It does have a 5-year warranty on the tool, a 3-year warranty on the battery, where both of the other ones are only going to have a 3-year warranty on the tool. And then finally, as far as features go, I really think the Dewalt's going to win. It does have 3 different speed or power modes. The Milwaukee has 2, and then the Ingersoll Rand does not have any sort of a selector switch, and the only way to control its power is the variable speed trigger. Now the Dewalt and the Milwaukee both have the LED light, and I do want to point out, as far as power levels go, in this case, the Dewalt was the winner. If you like this video, please click like. If you like my channel, please click subscribe. And thanks for watching.